For years, the business world had this one simple rule. If you want to save money, you outsource. And usually that meant sending work as far away as possible to get the lowest price. But what if that whole idea is kind of outdated? Today, we're diving into a huge strategic shift called nearshoring. We're going to find out why, for so many US businesses, closer is actually starting to look a whole lot smarter.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll set the stage with the classic outsourcing dilemma. Then we'll get our terms straight. What even is nearshore versus offshore? After that, we'll get into the real-world advantages, see how it actually works day to day, tackle some of the biggest questions you probably have, and wrap it all up with the final equation. Sound good? Let's get into it.
All right, first things first. Let's talk about the big challenge that every single business is trying to solve. How do you get more done, more efficiently, without breaking the bank? Outsourcing has always seemed like the magic bullet. But, as you'll see, the question of where you outsource to, well, that changes everything.
So let's make this real. Let's say you need to outsource your company's accounting. Your first instinct might be to just find the absolute cheapest option on the planet, right? But is the lowest price tag really the best result? That's the exact question we're digging into.
Okay, before we go any further, we need to make sure we're all on the same page. You hear the words nearshore and offshore thrown around all the time, but they are not the same thing, not even close. So let's define our terms.
And here it is, plain and simple. Nearshore is when you outsource to a country that's, near you, geographically close. And the key part here is that they're often in a similar time zone. Offshore, on the other hand, is the model we all know, outsourcing to a country far, far away, which almost always means a huge time difference. And trust me, that time zone thing, it is a much bigger deal than you think.
So if nearshoring isn't always about the rock-bottom lowest price, what's the big deal? Well, the real advantage goes way beyond just the invoice. It's about how your business actually functions every single day.
And here's benefit number one, and it is a game changer: real-time collaboration. Just think about it for a second. When your outsourced team is working the same hours you are, everything is instant. There's no more sending an email and waiting 12 hours for a reply to a simple question. Problems get solved now. Approvals happen now. All those frustrating delays just start to melt away.
And it's not just about what time it is. It's also about culture. Your nearshore partners are often much more familiar with US business culture and how we communicate. This means there's just less friction, fewer misunderstandings. It's so much easier to get them plugged into your existing team because, in a lot of ways, they just get it right from the start.
Now, this one is crucial. You might think going closer means you're sacrificing quality, but it's often the exact opposite. You can partner with US-trained CPA firms in places like Latin America, giving you direct access to people who are total experts in US GAAP and complex tax laws. So you get top-tier, accurate accounting without the insane cost of trying to hire that same talent here in the States.
Okay, the big ideas sound pretty good, right? But what does this actually feel like for a manager? Let's talk about the real, on-the-ground operational advantages you'd experience. One of the first things you'll notice is this amazing clarity of roles. Nearshoring lets your senior people, like your controller, stop worrying about the small stuff and actually focus on high-level strategy. Meanwhile, your nearshore accounting manager is crushing the day-to-day tasks. Everyone's in their lane, and the whole operation just runs smoother. But let's be honest, business isn't a flat line. You have busy seasons and slow seasons. Nearshoring is basically built for this. You can easily scale your team up when you're busy and then scale back down, all without the headache of hiring and firing full-time staff. This kind of agility means you can close the books faster and get reports quicker, so you're making decisions based on today's data, not last month's data.
Okay, so I'm sure by now a few very practical questions are popping into your head. So let's just address them directly. Let's do a quick Q&A.
This is always the first one people ask, and it makes sense. If the whole point of offshore is to be the cheapest, doesn't nearshore automatically lose on price? Well, it's all about how you look at cost. Yeah, the hourly rate might be a little higher, but that's just one number. When you factor in the value you get back, all the time you save, the mistakes you avoid, the speed of real-time work, that small price difference often gets totally wiped out. You're not just buying hours, you're buying efficiency and accuracy.
Okay, next question. Is this just some fancy strategy for giant corporations? Can a small or medium-sized business actually make this work?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you could argue that small businesses benefit the most. Because the model is so scalable, you can get exactly the amount of help you need when you need it. It gives you access to a level of professional talent that you probably could never afford to bring on full-time.
It's a massive force multiplier.
And here's the big one, especially for anyone in finance. It's your company's books we're talking about. How can you be sure everything stays 100% compliant with all the complicated US rules and regulations?
Okay, this might sound crazy, but hear me out. Nearshoring can actually make your compliance safer. Think about it. Instead of relying on one person locally who has to know a little bit of everything, you're partnering with an entire firm whose entire reason for existing is to be experts in US standards. They live and breathe this stuff, which actually reduces your risk.
So where does that leave us? Let's bring this all home and look at the final equation. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about what you pay. It's about balancing that cost with the real, tangible value you get back. And when you lay it all out like this, side by side, the picture becomes incredibly clear. Does offshore win on one thing, the absolute lowest price? Yes. But look at Nearshore. It still delivers high savings, while absolutely dominating on speed, communication, and compliance. The choice isn't just about saving a buck. It's about building a better, more efficient operation.
Which brings us to our final question for you to think about. For so long, we've been told that the path to success was to look further and further away. But in a world that moves faster than ever, where real-time collaboration is everything, maybe the smartest move, the real competitive edge, is to bring your partners just a little bit closer to home.